Hi, hello, welcome back to the Mountain Witch Tarot channel. I'm your host, Sarah. And word on the street is Donald Trump and the White House are spiraling into a nervous panic today. According to several news sources, the entire administration is kind of running around like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to figure out what to do about this Epstein release. So if you're not familiar, if you don't know what's going on, I'll give you a quick summary. Go Google the rest. And I have to be careful what I say about this subject because, things and stuff. So basically, yesterday, there was a crude drawing with a very questionable, cryptic message from the Jeffrey Epstein estate released to the public. Donald Trump's signature is on it, and he has a, pretty unmistakable signature. So, it's not generic. Okay. So, this whole thing is tying him a little too close for comfort to the Epstein situation, which, as we all know, he's been trying very hard to evade and dismiss and discredit. But this seems to really be getting to him, and that's kind of what this video is about, is I want to know, why? Why is it getting to him? Up until this point, it kind of seems like Trump gets away with an awful lot. So why is he worried about this? So we're going to look into that. We're going to look into, what's going on behind the scenes inside the White House. To get started, we are going to get a few cards to illustrate the energy of the White House right now regarding this event. So let's get a few cards for that. The first thing I notice here is that it kind of tells a little bit of a story in chronological order, and it sort of starts off with them feeling like they are in control of the situation and that they've always got the upper hand no matter, what comes out in the news or what is released regarding these Epstein files and the whole situation. But then on each side, we have a situation where they kind of keep losing ground and losing their footing, and it's happening really quick. It keeps coming at them. I get the feeling of just arrows coming at them left and right. So they're kind of starting to lose ground a little bit. Now, there's a financial aspect coming in over on this side, but I feel like this isn't conclusive just yet. I have a feeling of what it means. We'll get to it. But I think the Knight of Swords is important over here because this is kind of talking about, it's reiterating basically what we're seeing in this middle part of the line, which is that they are getting too big for their britches, they're being gung-ho, and they're losing their footing pretty frequently. They think that they have the ability to keep a handle on things, but they keep making mistakes or things keep coming too quickly for them to really solidly think everything through. It's like a lot of curveballs all at once. So going back to this card over here with the Five of Pentacles, I think, this might change as we go, but what I'm going to say about this one is that there is a financial aspect of this story that's going to tie a lot of things together. So this is, again, the overall vibe and the energy of the White House, the administration, and Trump right now. This is kind of where they stand emotionally and mentally at this point in time. So let's actually start over here with the Five of Pentacles and see if we can clarify a little bit. Where does the Five of Pentacles come in? Because I keep thinking about that check. I don't know if you guys saw it, but yesterday something else came out where Donald Trump had written a check to purchase, you guys know, you can Google it. They're worried, I think, more about the check than they are the birthday card. In regard to this check, I didn't know when I was looking at the image yesterday if it was like a joke picture. Obviously, Donald Trump's involvement's not a joke. Don't get me wrong here. But, sometimes crass people who do bad things will simultaneously mock themselves. Because I think when you're doing heinous stuff, you have a tendency to want to brag to the world that you're doing it. It's probably really hard for people like that to keep their secrets. And I think that's part of the reason that Donald Trump wrote what he wrote on that birthday card is like, you're getting away with something that you only get away with because you're rich and powerful, and you kind of just want to rub it in other people's faces. So I didn't know if the check picture was a joke or if it was serious, but now I'm kind of wondering if there is somehow an actual paper trail, a bank record or something that will tie that check from Trump to Epstein. So let's get a couple of cards to go underneath the devil here and see if we can get an answer to that. This is not a clear yes or a clear no. What this is with the Five of Swords and the Five of Cups is an enormous emotional tie to this situation, and they're heavily negative emotions. So, this is like fear of defeat and humiliation. This one is, a lot of people call it like the minor arcana death card. So together, this tells me that surrounding this energy, there is a sense of ultimate failure and defeat and completely being outed, completely losing the grip that you had on the story, on the narrative, spinning the story in your favor. This is the complete and total ruin of being able to do that. Does that make sense? Hopefully, it's kind of an enigmatic feeling, these cards together. But I feel like that check is, and this is my personal conjecture, I think that it's going to play a pivotal role in this situation because there's so much negative energy surrounding the financial aspect. And it could also be that not only is this just about the check, this is also about other financial records, other financial institutions, other paper trails, things that link the situations and prove, without a shadow of a doubt, that Trump is tied directly to these heinous acts with Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, let's keep going. So I think the next thing I would like to know is what, from here forward, is Donald Trump's plan, if he has a plan? What will be the strategy moving forward for them to evade this situation or get back to a point where they feel like they're in control of the narrative again? If he even can. And if he can't, I would like to see that present in the cards as well. We've got some type of retreating to safety in a way. And my guess is, personal conjecture, this is probably him trying to disappear from the public eye for a little while and lay low. I think with the Page of Pentacles, this could mean a few things. This could kind of restate what we've already got, which is laying low and disappearing from the public eye for a little while. This could also be about taking risks with something that was previously safe. So, some other things that come to mind, there's a sense of childishness. There's a sense of, having someone do your bidding for you. This could even be a reference to Caroline Leavitt. This could be an influence from a specific person. And if it is, it's probably Caroline Leavitt. I don't know how much they let her, like how involved she gets in their secret closed door meetings. I would suspect she probably is completely submerged in it because she's such a fanboy for Trump. So kind of hard to say. There's several meanings this could be, but I think overall we're kind of looking at a situation where they're trying to basically avoid doing anything at the, they don't want to react right now. They want to kind of lay low, disappear out of sight, and just wait to kind of see where they need to make their next move. Interesting. King of Wands. The first thing that comes to mind here is Donald Trump doing something completely unrelated, something that is extremely distracting, something that is violent and aggressive. So we could be talking about anything from creating an event with ICE and, what's going on like in Chicago and stuff like that, and like Los Angeles. We could see an orchestrated situation that is so big that it draws the attention off. Because as I was shuffling, I was asking, just thinking that, like, what is the final move in this kind of, time period right here? So we've got laying low, creating a distraction, like a physical manifestation of a distraction. So I don't think it'll be anything small, anything that, people can overlook. I think it'll be something drastic. And I think in a way, I keep thinking about, how this event will manifest his anger and rage at this situation right now. So kind of scary. And I'm wondering, I guess my next question would be like, is any of this going to work? Is he really going to be able to just put the lid back on this with his old antics, Because up until this point, like, we've seen Donald Trump get away with a lot of stuff, and he has a very recognizable pattern. So I'm wondering, how does this play out as far as his pattern goes and how successful it is or isn't? Because obviously he's trying to get away from this energy over here. He's definitely trying to run from it and kind of, put the lid back on the box, so to speak. A lot of verbal discourse that has to happen. And there's going to be situations where, a lot of people, a lot of voices are going to have to come forward. That's really what is kind of the crux of this whole thing. It's going to come down to too many voices that are speaking too loudly. And that's going to be what kind of drives this into a different direction. So there isn't much energetically that's coming along with this card, not much of a strong message. I think it's one of those situations where it's either or. Either the voices come forward and are too loud to deny, or he finds a potential to, take the situation back and walk away with it. And then once again, be in control of the situation. With the Queen of Cups, I think this is once again him ignoring a situation and showing no emotion in regard to what's happening. He's spending a lot of time putting thought into this situation, but not actually doing anything about it. So it's almost like at this point, the cards are kind of reiterating with a slight caveat here and there. Let's get one more. Well, the Four of Wands here is not a card that I really like seeing in this row, because this can talk about refuge, getting away from things. This could also refer to basically the ideas and the concepts and the structure you live your life by is based on a set of rules or patterns that are tried and true. So I kind of think of the phrase tried and true with this card, and considering what the other cards have told us, it kind of makes it seem like Donald Trump's tried and true method for evading responsibility is kind of the overarching theme here. So it's what he's always done. It's what he's going to continue to do. This actually, with what we've got here on the table, kind of looks like him once again escaping responsibility by doing the same thing he always does, which is lay low, keep things kind of close to your chest, create a distraction, ignore, deny. You know, it's a lot of just the same stuff over and over, and it gets him to a point of refuge. So hopefully this means that he just leaves the country and goes home to Russia to spend the rest of his days, but I don't think we're going to get that lucky, unfortunately. Cockroaches can survive a nuclear apocalypse, or so they say. So let's go ahead and clear this and get one more question. Let's just ask, is Donald Trump ever going to face accountability for any of these things? There are a couple of possibilities here. We're going back to that 5 of Wands card, which, you know, came through pretty strongly before as like the voices of, you know, opposing voices, voices of the survivors, voices of the media, et cetera, et cetera. But then there's also these two financial aspects. So one of two things could be true here. Either these voices win out by, you know, being the largest and the loudest, or there is something tied financially to this situation that will put him in a position that he can't get out of. Somewhere along the way, someone's got to pin him to this situation financially. I think that'll be the only solid way to proceed forward with, you know, like complete and utter proof of, you know, every level, because there are a lot of people that are already on board with denying everything and so forth. And, you know, it just feels like maybe it'll be Congress that ties these things together financially. But it's got to come together by means of like bank transfers or something like that. That's kind of the vague feeling that I get from this. Is this the thing that kind of takes him down? I mean, despite whatever the outcome will be, is this the thing that has the power and the momentum to finally bring him to some type of justice? I think that could possibly be a yes. I get the sense that this is like diligently hanging on to the financial aspect. Follow the finances. Follow the finances. And, you know, with the Hierophant, it's not going to be easy. You know, it's like a knight going up against a religious ruler, someone in a seemingly untouchable position, but also this sense of like hanging on to this standing and pursuing it. I think it has the potential to be the thing that brings him to justice, but I don't think that there's any end in sight as of right now. I feel like this is something that's going to go on for a while, and it may follow him posthumously. We may be talking about a situation that never really has a resolve in his lifetime, which is insane. But that's kind of what I'm getting from the cards here. So I guess I don't want this video to be too long. We'll go ahead and wrap it up there. Very interesting read. Lots of negative energy in the air today coming from the White House and the administration. I would say that things are really bad there today. So Aaron Parnas was right. I believe there is a great deal of panic going on behind closed doors. And, well, at least there's that. At least they're panicking. So it's got to be worth something, right? All right, guys, that is the end of this reading. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this, please click the like button. And if you want to stick around and see more political divination, click the subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video.